here's Andy Mitten from last night's football show talking about the form of Marcus Rashford.
And compared him to Ronaldo, you're getting a little bit giddy, I think.
I only compared his statistics. I don't think that he's as good as Ronaldo at the moment, but I think there are similar characteristics in the way that with Rashford, the last couple of months, I've seen a player really in form, really confident, someone who attempts the audacious, someone who gets fans off their seats. He's scoring incredible goals, most notable the one at Chelsea in the League Cup when fans behind the goal were saying, don't try and shoot, don't try and shoot. Whoa! And then it goes in. And Ronaldo's progress from 22 to 24 was rapid. He became one of the best players in the world. I'm not saying Marcus Rashford is at the moment, but he's got the talent to become a much, much better player. And when there were stories linking him to Barcelona in April, I wrote the original story there. And people laughed at it and said, he just wants a new contract, he's blah, blah, blah. It was all true. And another thing I wrote was that Pep Guardiola told a former Manchester United legend a year or two ago, the only player I would take from Manchester United is Rashford. Now, United fans haven't always been convinced by Rashford because you wouldn't really describe him as prolific. He scored 13 goals in the last couple of seasons, scored some great goals. He's been a big moment player. The best moment for Manchester United this year came in Paris when he stood up age 21 and took a penalty against Buffon, despite the PSG players trying to intimidate him. But in the last month or so, he's really come into his own.
Yeah, look, I suppose with 21-year-olds that's going to happen, isn't it? Or 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds as he is when he actually gets in the team, first of all. And at the time, you were always wanting Mourinho to play him more, but maybe Mourinho knows a little bit about football and how to bring young players forward.
Yeah, I'm just looking through Ronaldo's statistics when he was in his early 20s. So, like, you're talking in all competitions, like 04, 05 would have been around the 20 mark, 50 appearances, 9 goals. Next season, 47 appearances, 12 goals. And the next season, 53 appearances, 23 goals.
What age is that?
So, 21, 22. I think he was born in 85, so this is 06, 07.
That's where we are now at Rashford, right?
Yeah.
22 in October.
So 23 goals in 53 games. And then it's the next season, 49 appearances, 42 goals.
For who?
For Cristiano Ronaldo.
What, for Real Madrid?
Well, for Manchester United.
He's got 42 goals in one season.
Yeah. Like, that's incredible. Like, so 31 goals in the Premier League that season, which is absolutely insane. The following season, it dropped to 18 goals in the Premier League, 26 goals in all competitions.
Was Rooney injured that year or something? Was he like carrying the load himself?
That rings a bell, and probably stepping up to spot kicks a bit more, or whatever it may have been. But like, it's interesting that Mitten said that he was making the Ronaldo comparison based on statistics. I don't think you need to look at the statistics to make the comparison. I think it's actually a pretty easy thing to do when you look at his gait when he's standing up to free kicks, when you look at how he attacks on one flank and with the power that he goes and kind of eking out shots from tight enough angles that seem to challenge the goalkeeper. I think there's been a lot about his play which is reminiscent of Cristiano Ronaldo, but it's reminiscent. It's not on a par with Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, if he has, like, for asking for a player who is playing for a top club and playing really well for a top club to now go on to another level entirely, which is what Ronaldo did then, is nigh on impossible. Not many players do it. Like, if Marcus Rashford...
like two players over the last decade and a half have reached that level.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So, like, Marcus Rashford is already on a par with some excellent Manchester United attackers.
Well,
I think that...
They do hope, obviously, that he gets close to him, or that he gets to Rooney's level, or he gets a bit above Rooney, because he's not at Rooney's level yet.
So that's my point. Like, I disagree with Andy Mitten because he's making the argument in the wrong way, in my opinion, that the statistics aren't going to back up Marcus Rashford in the comparison. It's actually when you watch the player, that is where the comparison begins. And, like, you know...
So, if you don't go age by age, but if you go by amount of time in the team, so, like, number of games, how many... You probably don't have the stats there, but how long does it take him to score 20 goals, 30 goals, 50 goals?
So...
Which is kind of, minutes played versus games, because Rashford obviously didn't get a whole heap of full games under Jose Mourinho.
So, like, for Manchester United, Ronaldo starts his first 2 seasons by playing 40 and 50 games. So that's really his second 2 seasons with Manchester United, Marcus Rashford, that is, because he went 53 and 52 games. So he goes 11 goals in that first season with the 53 games. Granted, that's his second season for Manchester United. So his first full season, 11 goals. His second full season, 13 goals. For Ronaldo then, it was 6 goals and 9 goals. But granted, he was a much younger player. He was only, 18, 19 at the point. Marcus Rashford's second season, he's 19 then 20.
Yeah, I actually think that they're going to develop at different paces, and that's a closer comparison, and that statistically does make the case that he's progressing at roughly the same rate.
Well, actually, yeah, now that you put it that way, it's like 2 seasons ago, 52 games, 13 goals. Last season, 47 games, 13 goals. This season, 21 games already played, already got his 13 goals. Yeah. So it is going to be a step up goals-wise for Marcus Rashford this season.
That's explosive growth in those terms. And bear in mind, the 53 games is actually very misleading, because loads of those games, he starts and comes off early, or he comes on late because Mourinho doesn't fully trust him.
That's true.
And look, maybe Mourinho was right not to trust him at that point, and actually, in the long run, the best thing possible is going to be for him to have had that slow introduction and not bear the full burden of being the superstar saviour of Manchester United, even though that narrative has been there since the get-go. Probably because he scored some big goals and big games.
If England don't win the Euros next year, it's an absolute shambles. Like Marcus Rashford and Raheem Sterling leading the line, 2 of the best attackers in the Premier League, full stop. Yeah. Right there.
There's loads of other teams have good players though, right?
If you think about the ones that aren't European, there's a long list of them as well. So.
Yeah, but what about the other leagues? Oh, and I realise that, the Premier League is the only league in the world, but what about the other leagues? What about Kylian Mbappe, who we just talked about?
It's forget about him. Forget about Kylian Mbappe. That's a joke, obviously.
8:31. No, that was forget about Kylian Mbappe is the drop quote that they're tweeting out. He's a cod. Do we have we don't have the FIFA board where you left Messi off your team in the Millennium?